Okay guys, we're going to do what's called the diamond game, diamond math, or what's called the X game. As you see, I have an X with an 18 and a 9. Your goal is to find two numbers that when they are multiplied equal the top, so in this case the 18, and also when combined, they're either added or subtracted, they equal the bottom. Okay, so you think about it this way: you got to multiply, it's got to equal to be multiplied here, and then added and subtract here. Okay, so one of the ways to do this is to kind of just think of all the factors of 18. Okay, so kind of like what we did before with the greatest common factor and stuff. So for 18, it's 1, we have a 2, a 3. Might be easier actually to put them in groups. So 1 and 18 make 1. We have 2 and 9. We also have 3 and 6. Okay, so basically when you multiply them, they got to add to 9. So you should be noticing that we have 3 and 6. So we could say it's a plus 3 and a plus 6. Okay, remember, they have to multiply to become 18, or multiply to be the top, add together or combine to be the bottom, which in this case was 9. Okay, let's take a look at another one. So here, we're going to look at the factors of 44. So of course we know that 1 times 44 works. 2 times 22. Let's see, and 4 and 11. I'm already noticing that this is going to equal up to be 15. So I'm going to put the plus 4 and the plus 11. Okay. Sometimes you'll see ones that look a little tricky like this, that you just feel like there's no way they're going to work. Okay. But still, remember, let's look at 11, factors of 11, and it's a prime number, so unfortunately it's just 1, 11. So when I multiply them, they will make it to 11. So then when I add them together, they are 12. So it's plus 1 and plus 11. Now, there will be times when you've got negatives. Okay, so I've got this one here. It's negative 32, and that's what it's got to multiply to be, and it's got to be 4. Okay, still, just for a second, forget about that's a negative 32. Just give me the factors of 32. So 1 and 32, 2 and 16. I don't think 3 goes in there. 4 and 8 does. Okay, so right there, I see a way with 4 and 8 that I can make a 4. Okay, and it's going to be a positive 4, so I can take 8 minus 4, right? So 8 minus 4, that'll give me a positive 4. So basically, we know it's going to be negative, so we've got to have a number that's negative and one that's positive. But this is going to be positive, so that means my bigger number needs to be positive so I can take away the negative number. So in this case, negative 4 and 8 are my ones that are going to work. Okay. Once again, here's a little bit of a trick. I got a negative 49 and a 0. How in the world is this ever going to work? But once again, let's look at factors of just 49. We know 1 and 49, okay? And then we also know from past experience that 7 times 7 is 1. So once again, I've got a negative. So if I could do 7 minus 7, that gives me 0. So that means 1's a negative, 1's a positive, because I need 1 to be positive, 1 to be negative. So when I multiply, so 7 times 7 is 49. And since 1's a positive, 1's a negative, that makes a negative. And then 7 minus 7 is 0. Okay, all right, let's try a couple more. Ooh, 77 and 18. Big difference in numbers here. So let's look. I've got, like usual, we're going to put these together. So of course we know that 1 and 77 Then, 7 times 11 gives that to me. And since this is positive, we're just going to add these together. So it's a plus 7 and plus 11. All right, here's another one. Now I've got a negative number and a negative number at the bottom. So once again, first, just take the number 36, get the factors. 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 goes in, and I think it's 3 times 12. And then another set would be 4 and 9, and then of course it's 6 and 6. I need it to be a 5. There's a way to get a 5 right here. So I need a 4 and a 9, and I know 9 minus 4 will give me a 5. But doing it this way would be positive. So what if I change it around and say it's a negative 9 plus 4? That'll give me it, won't it? That'll give me a negative 5. So in this case, it's a negative 9 on one side and a positive 4 on the other. You can also flip them around. They don't have to be in this order. Okay, let's see. Do you want to look at a couple more? Let's look at a couple more here. I'm going to do another one. So I'm going to write down, make my X, because I'm going to be given two numbers. I'm going to say negative 110 and a 1. Got some big numbers here, but once again, break it down. I know that 1 and 110, there's no way to get a 1. 2 will go in there when I divide it, and I think that'll give me, let's just work it out, 5, 2, that's 10, drop down to 10, 2 and 55. Okay, I could keep going, but what I'm looking at here is, so I don't have to write them all, is I see it's divisible by a 10. I'm going to try a 10. And I know it's got a 10 can work. So let's do 10 into 110. It goes once, there's 10. That's 1, 0, 11. Okay, so with 10 and 11, so 10 times 11 gives me 110, but I need a 1. And I know I could do 11 minus 10, and that would be 1. So I can make my 11 positive and my 10 negative. So one of them would be 11, so plus 11 plus 10. All right, there will be a time when we're going to play what we call the X game to help us with factoring.